Her thumb trembled as the message flew into the night. A small cry launched into a glowing screen while the hallway clock ticked like a witness that refused to look away. She hadn't checked the number, hadn't slowed down long enough to breathe, and when the words left her phone they carried the weight of a bruise she couldn't see yet. "He hurts me," she typed, meaning the man asleep in the other room, meaning the years she had spent shrinking herself, meaning the silence that had grown louder than shouting. What if this happened to you, right now, alone in a place that no longer felt safe, with a single sentence as your last rope? Would you send it, too? Across town in a quiet New Jersey suburb, Michael Reed was rinsing a cereal bowl when his phone buzzed. He was a single dad who measured his days in school lunches and bedtime stories, a man who learned to be gentle because his son was watching. The message arrived like a wrong knock on the door, not meant for him, but it stopped him cold. He read it again, then once more, feeling a memory stir that he had buried deep since his wife's death, memories of hospital corridors and the helplessness of loving someone who was hurting. He didn't know Sarah Whitman, didn't know where she was or what she looked like, but he knew the sound of fear when it hid inside plain words. Without thinking about liability or sense, he replied that he was on his way, trusting that decency sometimes had to move faster than doubt. Sarah sat on the edge of the bathtub with the light off, listening to the murmur of television through the wall, feeling the shape of her life closing in. When the reply came, it felt unreal, like kindness slipping through a crack. She stared at the screen, heart pounding, wondering if hope was more dangerous than staying still. If you were in her place, would you believe a stranger, or would you put the phone down and wait for the morning that never changed anything? She sent her address with shaking fingers, and then the house felt smaller, every shadow a reminder of how she had learned to apologize for existing. Michael buckled Noah into the back seat with the practiced calm of routine, explaining that they were going to help someone who needed it. The boy nodded, serious and trusting, clutching his worn blue blanket like a badge of courage. As they drove through streets washed pale by streetlights, Michael felt the old ache of responsibility settle in his chest, the knowledge that showing up mattered, even when it scared you. He parked a block away from the address Sarah had sent, his heart racing not from fear but from urgency, the kind that refuses to be ignored. When Sarah opened the door, the air shifted. She saw a man with kind eyes and a little boy half asleep in the back seat, and something in her cracked open, a sob she swallowed back because she had practiced being quiet. Michael didn't step inside. He stood where the porch light painted him ordinary and safe, explaining who he was and why he came, his voice steady in a way that felt like a hand on her shoulder. The man in the other room never woke, or maybe he chose not to. Sarah grabbed her purse, then hesitated, glancing at the walls that had held so much of her life. She stepped out anyway, and the door closed with a sound that felt like a beginning. They drove to a 24-hour diner because it was lit in public and smelled like coffee and forgiveness. Sarah spoke in pieces, about control disguised as concern, about love that came with conditions, about the slow erosion that made leaving feel impossible. Michael listened without fixing, without interrupting, understanding that being heard was sometimes the first rescue. Noah stirred, asked if the lady was sad, and when Sarah nodded, he offered his blanket without ceremony. She pressed it to her cheek and let herself cry, realizing how long it had been since someone had shown her kindness without asking for anything back. In the days that followed, Michael helped Sarah find a shelter, then an apartment with chipped paint and a view of the parking lot, which somehow felt like freedom. He watched her learn to stand straighter, to make decisions without flinching. She watched him pack lunches and braid Noah's hair for school, saw the quiet grief he carried for a wife he still loved, understood that pain didn't make people broken, it made them careful. They became friends first, then something gentler and braver, a slow trust built from small promises kept. Change didn't arrive all at once. Sarah had nights where her hands shook and mornings where the past tried to pull her back. Michael had moments when loving again felt like betrayal. But they chose each other daily, not as a rescue story, but as a partnership forged in the understanding that showing up could save a life. Months later, on a sunny afternoon in a small backyard, Noah laughed as Sarah pushed him on a swing, and Michael watched, thinking about how one wrong number had rewritten all of them. If this story stirred something in you, share in the comments what you would have done in their place, or a moment when kindness found you unexpectedly. And if this story truly touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe, so more stories of hope, courage, and second chances can find the people who need them most.